So, good afternoon and hello to everybody. Let's wait a little bit that someone is still joining. So we're going to wait a few minutes. If you agree, guys, actually, we're going to take just a few minutes. Okay. Some more people coming and joining. So how's the weather in Arzignano, Torino, and Modena, right? No, Florence, sorry.
Florence. Yes.
How's the weather over there?
Soraya, go.
So it's my time? Can I start?
Talk about the weather, at least.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the weather is nice, actually, but yesterday I spent my weekend in Liguria, and it was awful, as I spent actually 3 days in the traffic, and it was terrible. Yeah, so I'm stressed. Okay.
You're stressed. You look stressed, actually.
You're stressed because of the weekend.
Yeah, because of the weekend. So maybe,
okay.
Yeah, it's a lazy Monday. So let's make it a little bit, let me say,
Sparkling Tuesday.
exciting.
Yeah. Let's do a Prosecco Tuesday. Maybe at the end. So,
yeah.
Some more attendees coming, but I think what you say, Massimo, guys, I think that we should start.
In time and in time.
That's nice. I heard it. So, hi to everybody again. Welcome to this the Idea Factory talk, which is something that came up a few weeks ago after being silenced forever. Actually, this is the first webinar we are organizing in this way. Under the Idea Factory, we are going to organize several brainstorming webinars. We will be talking about innovation and innovative approach into the fashion industry, mainly looking at the industrial operation and their supply chains management and whatever comes over. It seems boring, but it is not, believe me. Today, actually, we will be the first one, and we will be talking about virtuality on the brand industrial operation side. Together with us, there will be Soraya from Digital Mosaic.
Hi.
Guido from WeArt. Say hi to Guido.
Yes.
And the last is Massimo from the ID Factory, which is a small company that does nothing actually. But I will leave, I will pass the floor to Soraya and to the other guests in order to explain a little bit more and present their self and their company. Go ahead, Soraya.
Okay. Thanks, Luca, for the introduction. And hello, everyone. I am Soraya, and I'm part of the Digital Mosaic team. We create virtual reality experiences, and today is the day you will discover the key to make your business successful, as virtual reality simply represents the future of communicating. So most of you are maybe experienced of what virtual reality or VR is, but let me say in few words that the concept that better define virtual reality is presence. So here I have a visor. So we create experience that we distribute thanks to these tools. So there are several sensors on the sides, and thanks to these sensors, every interaction that you have with the real environment happens also in the virtual experience that you are living into the visor. So in few words, virtual reality is the closest thing to a real life experience, but it's also the furthest, as you can live successful and unreal experiences like reaching the moon or traveling in time and space with no limits to your imagination. So what about the value that virtual reality can give to your company and to your business? Coronavirus totally changed the way we do business. So there are several limitations in traveling, meeting customers, training employees worldwide, and the virtual reality oversteps these limitations. And there are several fields of application at every step of your productive, creative, and distributive processes. What about the digital mosaic? Which is our role? Our role is to make your business successful thanks to our use of virtual reality, which we of course we have a method that goes from analyzing your needs to the distribution of your experiences worldwide. Keep in mind the three concepts, which are the very core of what virtual reality is, and it's novelty, interaction, emotions, and creating emotions is you cannot fail. As making people feel something will always make them remember the experience that you make them try. So definitely, I think that our job is to improve your business using a brand new technology capable of adding new value at every operational sector of your activity every day. So let's think about the marketing campaigns. So coronavirus deeply influences the way we do business, as exhibitions are not possible. So no exhibitions, but no problem. As virtual reality, thanks to virtual reality, you can create a virtual show, for example, to share with all your partners or B2B customers worldwide. Or let's think about your creative process. So you can create a virtual prototype of your new products and share the creation process with your partners and make them interact with the new product. So limitless possibility are all with a deep cost, with a lot of savings, as you don't have to send your salesman worldwide, but you just have to bring to your partners a visor with the experience that you want them to live. This is my my introduction to what we do.
Thanks, Soraya. So, good job. Let's talk. I pass the floor to Guido, who will be presented WeArt. I won't say nothing because he will be much more competent than me explaining what this company is doing. Guido, it's up to you now.
Thank you, Luca. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you to ID Factory for inviting me and giving me the possibility of presenting you WeArt, our technology, our applications, and our startup in general. So I'm one of the co-founders of this very young company. We born in 2018, and WeArt started with an idea. And the idea is the digitalization of the sense of touch. So we like to describe our technology as the equivalent of a tactile microphone and a tactile speaker. So the equivalent of this kind of devices, microphones and speaker, but for the sense of touch. Let me start from one thing that connects my presentation to what Soraya said before. We focus on a sense which is the closest sense we have to our emotions. Touch is the sense of the emotion, is the most strictly correlated sense with our emotional sphere. And what we experience today is that all the digital experiences that we are used to are only based on audio and video. So we start from this concept. Our digital experiences do not involve tactile sensations in general. They are only based on audio and video. And what we propose is a tool, and actually a couple of tools, to augment these kind of experiences with a tactile layer that can increase the level of realism of the experience itself and engagement of the user. Let me tell you something more about our devices. So our technology can be implemented into a variety of devices, having different shapes, different dimensions according to the application need. But in general, they can be wearable or portable devices like this one that I'm showing now, that can implement this augmentation, tactile augmentation of digital experiences. In particular, we have a ring like this that can integrate our microphone technology. So the technology that can be used to acquire, to record tactile sensations from the real world. So you can wear this kind of device to tactilely explore objects or grasp objects and acquire, thanks to this tactile microphone, the tactile properties of these objects in terms of roughness or stiffness or thermal properties. On the other side, we have the companion of the tactile microphone, which is the tactile speaker. So the device that I use to render, to play back these kind of sensations on the user skin. And this can be wearable, but also portable, according, as I was saying, to the application need. And it applies vibrations, forces, and thermal stimuli on the user skin during the digital experience, implementing this augmentation. These couple of devices can be integrated into a variety of applications, ranging from, and again here I want to connect to what I was saying, marketing experiences that can be really engaging for the users. And this can be VR, AR experiences, but not only, we can also augment simple multimedia contents with a tactile track, a tactile layer that is added to the audio video one. And in general, not only for marketing, but also for training or entertainment, or in general, we can augment customer experiences, giving to this kind of experience the possibility of digitalizing tactile contents, tactile properties of products that are not physically in the hands of the user, but their properties are digitalized and rendered thanks to this kind of devices in a remote way. Finally, we can implement with this couple of devices a tactile communication between remote users. So we have a microphone and a speaker. And what we can do is to implement a communication between remote users, which is augmented with a tactile track. So I can imagine to touch something here and give to Luca, the tactile speaker. So I can touch something here and let Luca feel what I'm feeling thanks to this augmented communication between me and Luca, in general, between remote users. So this is just an overview of what we do, but of course, we are happy to share and to deepen possible applications in the fashion market, and in particular to what is related with the operations and industrial applications.
Thanks, Will. Actually, quite interesting. Seems to be in a minority report or something like that. Amazing. And now I will pass the floor to Massimo, who will be trying to explain what the ID Factory does. Just 2 words about it. We have a corporate problem. We don't know we know exactly who we are, but we are not able to define ourselves. So every time we are going to provide a different definition. So I'm thrilling to know what the ID Factory does according to Massimo today.
Actually, today, based on this environment and this guest, actually, I try to be very short because my content is much more boring, actually, than the content that the other panelists just shared. So I will be extremely short. The Factory is a procurement platform for supply chain management. And we are actually, I will not go to talk about the features actually, because it's the boring part. Let's talk a bit about why we think to implement such platform. Actually, the fashion supply chain is it's a critical area, has been a critical area for several years. And especially in this moment, probably several organizations face with the reality of solidity or vulnerability of their supply chain. And this actually probably is what is creating a kind of boost of this innovation atmosphere that is all around the fashion industry. Well, the area where we work is exactly this. We work on supply chain management. We focus on this area. Our core is to let understand our customer that the target need to be achieved with small steps, with and 1% better done in a long tail of the supply chain become a huge improvement at the end. And because actually we have to divide the supply chain in optic of marginal gain, and improve in small area can have a final result which is much bigger than the small actions put together. Well, to do this, what is important is to have the data. And the data is what can give the chance to make the right choice at the right time. If we consider that often companies is saying that is using this type of words like data-driven. Well, at the end of the day, data-driven is not just a cool word, you know. It's something that is extremely inside the company, at every level of the company, for every type of data of the company. Well, this area, this type of approach is what we daily do. So we work with the data, we offer the data to the supply chain and to the brand in order to take strategic decision, and we work to the data in a perspective of improvement, and with a clear mission that 1% improvement by day is a huge result at the end of the year. I try to be very short. I don't know if it was short enough.
Yes.
Well,
funny enough, this time you haven't been talking about KPI. So now we should move on, and our guests know that more or less what we do. At least they fully understood what the digital mosaic is doing and what WeArt is doing. As always, nobody will really understand what the ID Factory is doing.
That's right, next time.
So we spent the last few months thinking about how to innovate our business. We had enough time being at home, not really forced. So we've been not really conducting our business on a daily basis as before. So we had plenty of time to think on how we should innovate and how we should rediscuss our business. VR has been a cool word, a keyword that has been listened quite often. A lot of webinars. Everybody, we've been thinking probably it would be the future. As for my understanding, which is far from the understanding and the knowledge that Soraya and Guido has about the issue, is that we've been talking about, we've been listening VR, mainly focusing on gaming. So portable devices, devices connected, CPU, power, whatever, but a lot concentrated on gaming. So far, there has been several examples about the usage of the virtual reality done mainly by huge corporations such as Ford or Boeing or some other big corporation working with the VR in order to optimize their, let's say, training on safety and on product design in order to save, as Soraya told us before, cost and whatever. From the presentation, we've been listening that, yes, design development, marketing approach, but is there anything to make virtuality, haptic sensor, virtualization or whatever that can be done within the industrial operation, which actually should be one of the most boring part of the whole flow. Is not marketing. There's not the bright and light of marketing. There's not basically the creative stuff being done during the development of the process, the product, but it's quite cool as well. If you think that an average supply chain count more than 100 players on a medium average, spread all over the world. So people talking different languages and people interacting and managing problems, not every problem, but every day, but every single hour. So I would like to brainstorming about these. What is your idea of VR into the industrial operation, if any? Actually, we are not going to provide any solution. We're just here to talk about and see whatever can be came out from our discussion. Soraya, it's up to you.
Yeah, as I told, I think that the most important contribution that virtual reality can give to the operational and the industrial fields is the possibility to share processes. But just as a suggestion, let me think about the sharing of a cutting table, for example, where your partners can interact and at the same time, and in order to share the creation process of the new products. And let's think also about the possibility of creating catalogs for distributors and B2B customers in order to make them interact, and also in the creation process, but mainly in the business part. So not only marketing, but several fields of application. So I think that one of the most features of a virtual reality is the exploitability, as the same virtual experience can be used in several and different contexts. So let's think about the cost reduction in order to have savings that can be invested in new and more efficient communication strategies. So I think that the most important feature of virtual reality is the fact that it's such a brand new technology that can guarantee a long-lasting support for the business. And it's very minimally influenced by obsolescence. So war experience can be downloaded all over the world thanks to specific platforms such as the Oculus Store. And let me say that being a brand new technology, the point is that even the main developers all over the world, such as Oculus, which is licensed by Facebook, are still actually, they ask to Digital Mosaic and to these companies that work on developing new technology and discovering new application of these technologies. We are in a very close contact to always share new implementations, such as sharing a virtual environment of people interacting with their avatars, for example. So, but the approach that we have goes to customization of the product that we do. So we start from analyzing the needs. So that's why we use a method. So I cannot define a unique experience or unique approach for companies in general.
Okay, I will, quite interesting. I would like to give some information about the ID Factory, as we are basically supply chain geek. So we take care about brands, we talk with operation directors, we talk with technicians, with people that basically hands-on, or basically people that has to study strategy and being on a strategic part of the decision table on how to deliver the products to the shops or whatever. We just 2 weeks ago, last week actually, we organized a meeting, a stupid meeting in a cheap and economic and free virtual room. And we found out that besides whatever was outside, we've been able to have a huge engagement of a senior executive. So we're talking about board members for more than 1 hour. We've been actually booking about 15 minutes of his time, and we get out that we spend 1 hour on a virtual room talking about a project. And after that, we spent another couple of hours going in deep about the project. Totally unexpected. So from our point of view, this kind of engagement that we've been able to get through a virtual meeting done in virtual reality has been totally unwanted and unexpected. But it came out that after discussing a little bit, he was without phones. He was not interacting with anyone else besides us. We were only talking each other face to face, not physically, but that was. And so one feature that we found out dramatically interesting was the attention that you can get out of a senior executive.
I think we are back. Sorry, I think we are back.
Oh, sorry.
I think we are back to actually to what Soraya said in the beginning, because at the end of the day, we are talking about emotions, you know, interactivity. So this is the area, and probably virtual reality can create a boost on this area. And yeah, we got unexpected reactions actually, but it was what we hope to get at the end of the day. And the result delivered was extremely interesting, and it's just the beginning, because we should not forget that this is a new territory at the end of the day, you know. So what today we are here to share ideas, actually. As you said at the beginning, Luca, we are not here to give solutions. We are just here to share ideas between three players of the industry that actually work in different areas, but can link each other. And the connection was extremely interesting. Yeah. Sorry.
Guido,
Yeah,
can
the
you even
point is
imagine?
that, yeah. Oh, sorry. No, I just wanted to make a comparison between the way we used to communicate before the pandemic crisis, the way we communicate during the pandemic crisis. So webinars actually as the one that we are attending at this moment, and which is the future. And let's think about a better use of knowledge of virtual reality during the pandemic crisis, during the lockdown period, like this last 2 or 3 months. So webinar, okay, as a communication strategy is it's a good way. It's cheap, but there is no interaction between people. You cannot interact on prototypes, and I think that one of the main key of success of virtual reality is the point that there is no there is a complete fitting between the message and the content that you want to communicate, because you know, the experience that is in the visor arrives directly to the user. So there is no, maybe the way that I used to communicate the message can sometimes be empty of emotion, of like this dreamlike suggestion. So interacting directly with the experience make the message arrive clearly. And so let's think about the possibility to, because of this is because I used to talk with people about my job, and they used to say that there's nothing to communicate better than a real meeting with people, of a live meeting. But what about the person which is communicating the message? Are your salesmen, your distributors, are you sure that they can really communicate the message that you want to make arrive to people in a right way? So I think that this is the one of the key of virtual reality in communication.
I see that there is also a couple of questions for you here.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and let me. Okay, the simple answer to this question is yes. Is basically what you understood from the technology. You can basically record and let's say record and play back on the other side, both in real time or not, tactile content. So Nicola was asking, is the feeling you record the same Massimo listen? Yes, in terms of, as I was saying, 3 main components of the tactile informations we can record and play back, that are forces, vibrations, and thermal cues. So if we look at the object, this means roughness of the texture of the material we want to digitalize, stiffness or softness, which is the other way to say that, and thermal properties. That is really important for the material discrimination. And also the other question was asking, the feel of and touch of a fabric or leather material can be transmitted. Yeah. we can digitalize, I mean, what we touch. So basically, if you touch and interact with the fabric or leather, we can provide on the other side of the communication, or just record and integrate this kind of tactile sensations into a VR experience, for instance, or a digital experience in general, or also, as I was saying, in real time between two remote users. So of course there is a level of approximation, which is, I mean, something that we must say, because what we say now is like we are developing the black and white television for sense of touch, but it's still a level of realism that was never reached before. And this is what, just connecting to what Luca was saying, this let us go beyond the gaming application of this kind of technology, because before, all the haptic technology, also you remember maybe the DualShock, the controller of the PlayStation, integrated some haptics, because the vibration of the controller was haptics there. But that was only used for notifications, let's say, so a vibration at different intensity. Now thanks to the technology we developed, we reached a level of realism that goes beyond this kind of notification and makes the tactile information way more informative, and gives us the possibility of designing innovative applications that are really meaningful and relevant for the fashion market, in which the tactile properties of products, but also raw materials, are really important. So going back to what they were saying before, so about the operation, of course we can, Soraya was envisaging let's say, a relation between two designers around a table, a digital table, designing a product, and sharing the creative process. You can imagine to use this kind of technology to let these designers also share the tactile properties of the product they are designing. So going beyond the only visual aspects or color or whatever and shape, but also selecting remotely the materials they want to use to build the product. But not only this, also the digital catalogs, so making the sharing of the selling process also easier. And also, if we think about strictly industrial application, you can envisage quality control applications augmented with this technology that gives you the possibility of remotizing the quality control process. You know, today, especially in the fashion market, the quality control is done by hand, so by expert people that go there and touch the product or the raw material that must be selected, and they need to have the real object in their hand to assess the quality of the object. This technology gives you the possibility, to some extent, to remotize this kind of quality control, or in general, this kind of assessment that can be done remotely. So without having the real product in your hand, acquiring the digital properties of the object on one side and feeling them remotely on the other side of a communication, for instance. So for us, it's really easy to think about possible applications, because this technology, and wherever you see a display, a screen, and also the Oculus is a display, a wearable display, you can add a glove made by a combination of these. So for us, it's really easy to understand possibility of integrations. Also in the meeting, you were saying you had a successful meeting in VR. You can imagine like the handshaking moment augmented with the tactile sensation. So
no, shaking is something that has to be done in person, actually. So, but quite interesting when you've been talking about let's say the remotization of quality control. I can imagine this situation today. There is a quite huge restriction within the traveling, so you cannot try as before. And normally brands, I'm not saying only but it can be even for the luxury brands that basically have some part of their process, manufacturing process done in the Eastern Europe or in let's say in the Mediterranean area, or even though, let's say, mass market brands like any other brands not in luxury that have operation in Cambodia, Vietnam, wherever in the world. So today they are probably junior QC or junior technician running their production. Yeah. They cannot go there. So a good point should be having a virtualization of which should be augmented, or I would say totally
Digitalized.
virtual experience in order to help the junior people from the headquarters or basically wherever they are. Even because, let's say, it's not easy moving from a factory to another within the same country. Can you imagine, let's say, if you have 1 or 2 technicians spreading all over Asia, is almost impossible today.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting this idea linked to the quality control. For sure, actually, I would say on the product development is amazing whatever you can do on virtual reality, on, let's say, exploding the style, and so design is changing and feel the substance or basically the paste of the material. But basically that's before
it's
the industrial operation.
Sure.
But even in the industrial operation, it's quite interesting, this idea, don't you, Massimo?
Yeah, I would like to put something on the table a bit more complex, probably. QC, remote QC, okay, great support. But what about, what do you think, Guido? I mean, I asked you both, Guido, sorry, about learning.
Yeah.
Learning, learning, we can imagine, okay, the reality of the last 3 months totally changed the way how we learn. And I mean, okay, easy to think, easy to imagine, but learning in terms of, because you will mention about experts of touch in textile, you know, this type of knowledge. Do you think that this type of knowledge is possible to transfer in terms of learning?
Yeah, you can imagine augmented training sessions that can be basically like multimedia contents, like videos showing a particular operation or the quality control itself, and digitizing, for instance, the properties of an object and teaching to someone like a junior operator somewhere else in the world how to assess the quality of something without being in the same physical place. So learning that, consider we are applying this also to medical field, just to give you an idea of the quality level, let's say, we can provide with our haptic solutions. But we are, for instance, implementing training sessions for surgeons that can feel the tissues of patients remotely, feeling and understanding and learning how to perform a particular set of operations without being on the patients actually, but having this digitalization of the sensation. The same can be applied to the materials, to the fashion industry, remotizing the learning experience that, as I was saying, can be multimedia content, but also VR, of course.
Yeah, I see automatically, Soraya, I see something link with what you do.
Yeah, of course. I always used to create a link between the concept of training with the concept of learning by doing, which is so common. Yeah, let me clarify that, of course, we always used to prefer to work, we can work with both augmented reality, virtual reality, but let me say that state of the art actually make us go in the direction of virtual reality because of the developments at this time. But let's think about training your employees on a prototype instead of a real element, a real product. So you can make it better. You can change some features, because spending a lot of savings in creating products that maybe will not be functional. So and also you can save money, of course, in teaching people with an experience that can be reused, and I told you before that it can be downloaded from all over the world thanks to the web platforms that permits to download content. So you can save money in training employees, and even in the department with the companies that used to these international companies that used to support big companies in creating special ways for training expertise worldwide. So. That's what I
Interesting,
think.
actually, as I was basically saying before, great. As I say, we can foresee a lot of implementation for the prototyping in terms of cost savings, which makes sense. But having a deeper knowledge of process manufacturing, I can even imagine a huge savings in terms of sustainability and cost if you well train someone at a certain point of your supply chain. I would say that materials in the supply chain normally produce a huge percentage of waste and impact on the environment, and not only on the environment. But I would say that more skilled people can make a better use of materials if they're well trained, and they're not only driven by how many pieces you have to sew or cut or last per minute, because you can do exactly the same amounts of shoes, bags, any kind of related wallets in a better way if you're well skilled. So I was just thinking something like, you know, a tool to upgrade the skills of workers in this low income country, where basically they have the doors open in the morning, they say, we need workers, get in, 2 days training, and then go ahead in production. This would be feasible, probably, at a lower cost, giving two huge impact. As Massimo was saying, what we like to say, the marginal gain. Few cost, but you get an increment on a sustainable way, so you're not wasting more than what you have to. And the second one, you're saving money. At the end, a small cost, a small step, basically make a huge impact throughout the whole supply chain. But that was an idea, extemporary idea, Massimo.
Yeah, but this is exactly what we try to do. You know, as I said in the beginning, with the proper data on hand, collected directly from the supply chain, we can offer solution to other experts to improve small steps, and 1% a day is a huge result at the end of the year. A big part is done by the learning, this of course. The remote QC, another great idea. What I would like now to put on the table as a question is, do you think that actually the moment we are living, it's let us feeling we are reaching this type of adoption level? Because today there is a lot of interest, you know. I mean, I think that all of us are, as tech companies, let's say, if we consider in this area, we get a lot of interest from the market, from different, for different why actually. But is this something that is an innovation in terms of is changing something, or is just a moment? This is just an open question, because this is something that is I'm thinking about since few weeks actually. I mean, do you think the market is ready to something like, to things like that?
Yeah, I think that just if I can, I think that the moment we are living it gave us a boost in the acceptance of the market to this kind of technology, because a lot of people that were not used to digital experiences like this, like I don't know, video chats or virtual meetings or whatever, now they are used to, and I think they will keep using this kind of tools because maybe they understood all the benefits coming from this. It's not only benefit, we know that there are some, let's say, aspects not so nice of this kind of remote communication, but I think that from our perspective, for instance, the level of acceptance of this kind of technology really increased today, thanks, sorry for this, but thanks to this contingency we are living. Because in our case, for instance, we had the problem of communicating the value of this kind of technology, which is not something we have in our houses today, and it's not easy to be communicated only through visual, without trying it. Now we know that there is the need for the companies in general and for the market, for these kind of tools that can digitalize experiences in general. And from our point of view, this means haptic stuff and digitalized tactile sensations, but it's not only this, of course. So we are experiencing a lot of interest from the fashion market today for this kind of technology, because given the physical distance we have today, we need to be connected in some way. That was not an issue before.
This is something that you think, will be stable?
I think that the crisis only, I think that the crisis only anticipated a process that would have happened in 4 or 5 years anyway. And maybe now we are more careful to incorporate new technologies as we need them. But of course, we will discover the advantages that we have from using these new technologies. So, and looking at the savings and the cost reduction related. So I think it will be very hard to make a step backward, and we will continue on this way, through including more and more technologies in our activity, in our way of doing business. But the point is that I think that the concept of interaction, emotion, can be the importance of virtual reality is to bring with in its core the concept of emotions and the interaction. So there's nothing to lose compared with the previous way that we have to communicate. So meeting people, and we will not stop meeting people. It's not we are not becoming like lonely.
The avatars of ourselves.
Yeah.
No, no way. I don't think so.
I think the same, actually. My feeling is the same, but you know, sometimes we need also to have confirmation from the other people, actually, because I believe that the way that that the market is taking is basically a direction which is conscious direction. Is is something that is not let's say for early adopter people, but is something more, I mean, for a bigger market segment, actually. But you know, sometimes it's always interesting to share this with other, I mean, with this idea with other companies, which is if it's feeling the same, actually.
Yeah, definitely.
I would say that actually we have 10 minutes to go, and we know that Guido, thanks for your time. He has another very important meeting right after here, so we have to let him go in 10 minutes. So before giving the possibility to the crowd to make some questions if they have, or some ideas, they want to share some of their ideas, I would like not to summarize, but what I found quite interesting, quoting Soraya, is just what it came out, the main idea is that out of virtualization, we can bring message and content all together with a physical touch out of Guido stuff. It's quite interesting. And
through the supply chain.
Just through the supply chain. And I'm not sure, but I think we can find some good KPIs to calculate out of this virtualization. But we have to think about that. I agree with you that probably the time is now in order to think to adopt. I do feel personally that there are still some limitation in terms of hardware, not of idea, but probably we don't know where the technology is going at the moment in terms of the big player as Facebook with Oculus, which actually I think is one of the biggest players in the market today for hardware, will be driven in the next month. I do think that a huge boost has been done. And so let's think about what we've been living more. It's a kind of a booster for I would say unhealthy technology adoption in the fashion industry, which I would rather to remember to all of us that it's still the industry that is doing things in the same way it has been done in the last 100 or 200 years.
Yeah.
So a bit of innovation in terms of a different approach and mindset, it should work in the industry. and mainly in the operational sides, because from the marketing, from the customer-centric view, from design and whatever, there's been a lot of improvements. Whatever is in the middle, which is the engine that delivers the product, is still attached to an old way of doing things, which is good in terms of craftsmanship, but probably with the help of technology, should bring an innovative technology, should bring some good results, and is not far ahead. So, guys, thanks a lot.
This device
yes.
Just think that this device has been created like few years ago, and it's out of production. So there are there are two models that now permits to scan your hands. So before you had to use 2 joysticks, but now there are 2 sensors can scan the hands. So you can just moving your hands, every interaction, every movement can be replied into a virtual experience. So
yeah, it's funny.
It's going ahead very fast.
And with the hand tracking, what is missing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would like to say the guys in the crowd whether there's some question about. I think we've been chatting a lot. If there's some of you has some more question for us, because if not, there's a good guy that teach me that whatever you are doing, you have to start on time and end on time. It's 8 minutes missing, so we can even end the session a little bit earlier. I don't see much question coming. Probably we've been very clear, or we got in target, so nobody has been really understanding what we have been talking about, which is somehow
that's why it's a brainstorming.
Disruptive. Exactly. So I would say, Massimo, do you have something else to do as a
yeah, I just would
idea
like,
factory?
I just would
idea
like
factory side.
Just to add something of what Soraya just said, because actually it's quite crazy. We are here talking about these innovations, you know, I mean, and probably a big part of the players or the part of the supply chain even doesn't never try, let's say. And today, I mean, this Oculus that you just showed, I mean, is not anymore in production, which is, I mean, it's quite amazing, you know. I mean, so from the distance actually from where the technology is going and where actually the market is, yeah, it's quite long. It's quite very long actually, but looks like that big steps has been done. Now we have to see if, because I just think about what you just say, Luca, that it's kind of mindset, you know. So first of all, we all need to have the right mindset. Then the tool, the technology is something that is there. The technology is ready. The technology is there. But first of all, we need the right mindset to see the things and what we can do with that things. So
I think that the changing that is needed, and our companies is doing that actually, is to start thinking of virtual reality as with a functional approach instead of like gaming. So what we're trying to do is to give a functional role to virtual reality in all the operations and the steps that a company has to face every day. So let's think of the functional approach that new technology can have to business, but not only virtual reality. There are a lot of applications and technologies that are,
let's say, innovation area. Innovation area.
And talking about innovation, I will keep saying that I will be always using my fountain pen, which basically has been more than 200 histories. And besides that, it does work much better than any other haptic tablets in order to write whatever you want. And about that, because is okay. What I wanted
sensation,
the sensation, which basically is strictly driven to human being, and that I would say technology used as a without any real functional mission does remains wherever it is. Let me see, there's another question.
It's funny because actually I think today
okay.
we touched 1%.
The question said that would these technologies be commercially adaptable, keeping in mind the supply chain is in the third world? Yes. I answer from the ID factory and the idea factory. Whatever we've been implementing has been done in order to be understood by anyone in the world, from Cambodia to India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, China, Vietnam, Africa, South America. And it works because actually we are there in all the countries I've been mentioning. We are there with our, I would say, technology, with our platform. And so there's a lot of access from those areas. I think that
if I would like add something, Luca. Actually,
yes.
What we learn in the last few years is that if something good of the innovation and the technology is that it's quite democratic.
Yes.
So different culture, different levels, different persons. I mean, can get access and use it. I mean, without big difference one from the other. So,
actually, I think that these are technologies that are also thinking to break borders, actually, and connect different parts of the world, giving also, I mean, this level of sharing between, I mean, the production in the third world and the headquarters in the US, basically. Also, thanks to this technology, the connection can be stronger, actually, and there is no reason to think about limitations in the acceptance or the delivery of this kind of technology in this in the third world, or where the supply chain is.
Okay, guys, I think we made it.
Thank you.
I'm quite happy. I would like to thank Soraya. We learned a lot from you today. Guido, thanks a lot for coming and staying with us, and all the best for the next meeting. And
thank you for inviting
thanks to
me.
Massimo for being so unclear, which basically is such a kind of we at the ID Factory has to be in order to promote our company. And
I did my best.
We always do our best, and we always are on top. Guys, thanks for everything. I would say ciao, and thanks for the guest who has been listening us today. See you for the next webinar, which will be talking about I have no idea, and will be I have no idea when, but sure within 1 month.
But it would be very interesting to actually to go deeper on this topic, because today I think we just touched 1% again of what they should be done.
So we should be for sure kids up again in the next future, and going a little bit in deep of what we should do. It has been quite interesting. Thanks, guys.
Thank you
very much. Thank you for inviting me.
Ciao.
Bye.
Ciao.